All right, tonight we're going to be installing an iTroll system on this 9.9 Honda 4-stroke power thrust engine. Now this particular model is an engine that does not have power tilt and trim. It does not also have a tiller handle, so this is just considered a remote but basic electric start simple engine. So customer brought it to me and he's having me put the iTroll on. We've done several of these at this point and actually the Honda one's pretty simple. So we're going to go ahead tonight, and there's some clarification points that I get a lot of people who call and ask questions about. So we're just going to kind of go over that with you. The first thing is we're just going to run down the steps. This particular model has been set up at the factory so we can skip 9, 11, and 12. Step one, let's make sure our engine isn't running. Okay, it's not running. Remove the cowling, check, we've gotten there. Now we have our power tilt and trim models only, our tiller models only, and our remote control models only. And with the remote control, they give us this thread cutting bolt. Now this is just a 1/4x20 bolt that somebody has maliciously smashed the end on, to be honest with you. It is quite the thing. I'm not a fan of it. I have found that in having guys help me with this or having customers bring them to me, they've sheared those off. And in this particular instance, where that goes, there is a little plug that you pop out of here, and there are two potential bosses on the Honda. The further one back, and there's one right here also sometimes. Now, the directions are going to show that as boss A, which ours does not have that particular bracket installed, or P, which is right here where that hose would go. Now again, in this particular instance, we do not have that. Oh, look at that, a mosquito. Okay, got the mosquito. So what we would normally do is just use the thread cutting bolt and put it in. However, I have found that that is a really crappy way to do this job, and it's much easier just to pop these back corners off here and here, bring it up and bring it up, and then pull it away just slightly. We're not damaging anything, we're just pulling it away just slightly, and the drain on this can actually be popped off this hose, which is going to give us pretty good access to that hole. And instead of using the thread cutting bolt, I go get a 1/4-20 tap. We tap that out with 1/4-20 threads. Now, the reason most people break this bolt is that it is too long. So if we run this down inside here, to get the most engagement that we can, what we're going to find out is that it leaves a lot of threads behind. Okay, so we're bottomed out there. And just so we get a little better view of it here, you can see that even by the time we put the bracket on here, it is still got quite a lot. Now, even if we had the other bracket that's shown in the picture, that still would not get tight. So they provide us with an entire array of spacers. Now, in this particular case, it's going to require 2 washers or 3 washers underneath the bracket to make it tight. I would certainly recommend also, at the bare minimum, using some blue Loctite. If you don't have blue, this is kind of a permanent installation. I'd be okay with red or orange. You just want to use some thread locker on there because you have a single bolt that is going to hold this servo bracket in here. Now, the other thing is that with it all the way down, we're on kind of a bad angle, so we're actually going to bring 1 washer underneath of it, and then we'll probably put the other 1 or 2 washers on top. We do not actually, in this case, need to use the spacer at all. Ideally, we'd like to see that, as the picture shows, sit basically against the intake right here. And if you actually follow the directions on this, they'll tell you to put the spacer, the flat washers, when you're cutting under the bolt, the head. Cut only enough threads to secure the servo. You'll end up way up too high, so we don't want to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and install this component, and then we'll go to the next step or steps in the group and move on.